Hey there riders, Moto Journo Kris here today, and I'm here with my project Yamaha WR250R. Not much has been done lately because we've been in lockdown for so long. Really can't travel far from home and certainly can't get out to any tracks, which has really dampened my enthusiasm for doing anything on the bike. But I have been ordering some mods for it as a bit of retail therapy, and today I'm going to be fitting one of the more exciting mods I've got and one of the bigger ticket items, which is an exhaust to replace this stock system, which is fairly quiet. Now, I wouldn't have minded an FMF exhaust for this bike, but I probably would have wanted a Q4. The other kind of exhaust which I'd heard recommended was the Gytr exhaust, which obviously is a made in USA exhaust, which that's good. I waited till they came into stock and ordered them from the Y shop, and I think it was about 650 bucks. Delivery was really, really quick, which was I was quite impressed by, because I tell you what, delivery lately from some retailers has been absolutely shocking. I think this took like 2 days to arrive. And as you can see here, very nicely constructed exhaust. Obviously it's a dirt bike exhaust. It's not as fancy as, you know, kind of what you see on some of the road bikes, but also from a price perspective, I think 650 bucks is pretty good. If pretty normal as well on that side of things. There just hasn't been much available, so that's part of the reason I ordered this. And yeah, I'm really happy. As you can see, pretty solid mounting. I believe specific to the Australian model is the O2 sensor bung there, and also you can get that shield back on the exhaust, which will help reduce the amount of damage it takes when you drop the bike, which, knowing me, is going to be a fairly common occurrence. So first up, we're going to remove the shield off the stock exhaust. That's just a 5mm Allen. There's a little rubber grommet up here. There's also this exhaust mounting bolt here, which is naturally also holding the rack on. So we're going to take that one off, or we're going to loosen it now. Next on the list of things to do, I'm going to pull this guard off. So what you will be able to see here is, of course, the fixture for the exhaust. I think we'll take this panel off here as well for a little bit more access and to get in there. All right, so I've pulled the cover off. As you can see, there's actually just the single mounting point for that plastic cover there, and it just slides off, which is a nice elegant design, makes it really easy. There actually seems to be an exhaust valve connected up here, but obviously removing that is next step. Okay, so what you can see here, which I did just show previously, is the exhaust valve with the two wires, and obviously like the captive ends of those wires, kind of like what you see in a clutch assembly at the bars. I've just grabbed a 10mm spanner and I'm just loosening. As with the clutch pulley, you just want to kind of lever it out without using something that's going to damage the wires. So I've disconnected the exhaust servo. This is the clamp that keeps the muffler onto the header, and behind here, where it's pretty inaccessible as it stands, is the O2 bung. We've got 12mm socket onto the exhaust. One more mounting point off the subframe as well for the exhaust, as you can see here. That's next. Also a 12 Alright, I pulled those apart, just used some pliers and a thing because I didn't really want to tug on the wires in case I stuffed that up. So now the exhaust should slide off. Okay, so I've got the exhaust off. I'll give you a quick look at it and it's kind of what we're dealing with. Fairly simple stuff. So that's what I had to loosen. Getting it off was a little bit more difficult than expected because this is a fairly new bike. As you can see here, that's the exhaust servo. That is the O2 sensor, which we're going to have to put on the new exhaust. And then you've just got all your fairly regular mounting points. It looks like it is a 21. This is a 22 because that's what I got. And it's just a little bit loose, but it'll do the job. Now what I am going to do is I'm going to get that O2 sensor back into the new exhaust. This is an Australian specific part from what I understand. I think I've heard from people overseas saying that that doesn't come with it for them, possibly in America, but it does for us. Okay, so I've got it roughly in place. One thing to keep in mind is I do have the B&B rack on the back, which is going to slightly change that rear mounting point just because it's pushing it a little bit wider. We've got it slipped on. Everything's lining up really well. It is quite tight on the subframe here. Okay, so we've got the exhaust in place, as you can see here. That's the O2 sensor. It's further back, which does make it more accessible than the original position, which was like right behind that frame spar. First mounting point. Second mounting point, which is with the B&B rack. And I've got the rack on the outside. One thing that I did notice, which I was a little bit surprised by, is that the muffler is actually, the pipe to the muffler is actually touching the subframe here. There's just no clearance whatsoever. So that is quite a bit deeper than the stock exhaust. I'll do some proper sound tests when I can get out for a ride, but definitely a bit more volume to it, louder, deeper, not obnoxious at those low RPMs, but that is just the bike warming up. And we're probably getting a little bit of extra revs there because of the system detecting that the bike's cold. But yeah, much nicer sound. And I got to say, one of the things is with the bash plate on and the reverberation of the engine noise, the bike being noisy is very mechanical sounding. Whereas I think this might actually serve to kind of balance that out a little bit in giving it a bit more of an exhaust note instead of it sounding like a bucket of bolts, which, you know, is not ideal. So before we put all of the covers back on, like these covers here, the side panel, which is going to go here, as you can see, and of course the exhaust shield. Here's a final look. Once you remove this, you need a much shorter bolt. I just had something that I could run in there, a much shorter one, and that was the only thing I needed to change, and that was of course removing the servo motor for the X-Up. Unplugged it as well. I think I might need a servo motor cancel or whatever they call it. I've had them on bikes in the past, so that's what I'll probably chuck on. I'll have a look. I've got this little thing, I don't know whether it's going to focus on it. It's like a little rubber grommet. Maybe someone can tell me what that's from, because it's the only thing I can't figure out where it goes. Looks like it just clips onto something and then prevents it from making contact with something hot or to stop vibrations. I'd say that's what it is, but I'm sure someone who's spent a lot more time on one of these bikes than me will know. Let me know in the comments, that would be very helpful. So very impressed with the product, very happy with the fitment, easy, sounds good so far. I've got to take it for a ride and I'll do a separate video talking about how it sounds on board and everything like that, and giving a bit more of a better test of exactly how it sounds. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, as always, let me know what you think. Let me know what that rubber grommet is and where it goes, and stay safe out there, and thanks for watching.